In this video, we're going to look at REDCap's field embedding feature. The field embedding feature is a versatile feature that allows you to customize in much more detail how your data entry forms look. It allows you to reposition field elements on a survey page or a data entry form so that they get embedded in a new location on that same page, giving you much more control over the look and feel of the instrument. You can use field embedding both in new and existing projects. If you're creating a new project and you want to get a better feel for how field embedding will work, you can use the Field Embedding Example Project template. This template comes with an existing form that shows what the field embedding looks like and allows you to examine the fields to see how it was done. This is how this form looks like when you're building it, and then when you go to add records to it, this is how it will display. The field embedding feature has allowed for a great deal of versatility in the layout of the form. Before we look into how to build with field embedding, you can always find all the details of it by clicking on the yellow Field Embedding button on the project setup page or in the online designer. Let's see how field embedding is done. The first step in field embedding is to create the field. The field must exist in the project before you can embed it someplace else. So, for example, if we want to look at the dessert someone has eaten every day, we can build a series of fields. Now we have 9 fields that we can embed someplace else. We don't want these fields to all appear one by one. We want them to appear in a nice, easy table. So I'm going to add a new field here at the top. And this time I'm going to make it a descriptive field. When I embed a field, the only thing that gets carried into the embedded space is the place where someone can enter in information. It does not carry in the field label, so I'm going to have to make sure that it's clear when I build the place where I want this to go, what the labels are, so that data entry makes sense. The best way to make sure that you're getting everything formatted the way you want to with field embedding is to use a rich text editor. So for this example, I'm going to build a table. And while I only have a 3x in terms of fields where I need data entry to be done, I need to add labels at the top and labels at the side so it makes sense. Then all I'm going to do is use curly brackets and indicate what field should be embedded in each space. We hit save, and we can see in the online designer how it looks. And then if we go to the Add Edit Records page, add in a new record, we can see how it would look for data entry or on a survey. And any information I save here will be saved into those forms. If you look at it as a report, we can see that the information I entered in the embedded field went specifically into the field referenced in the embedding process. The most common places where you're going to embed fields is into the field label of a descriptive field. However, another place where you can embed it is in a multiple choice question. So let's create a multiple choice question, asking what the best kind of cookies are. And we'll put in our answer choices and our variable name. Previously, if we wanted to enter data into that other field, we'd create a second form and we'd set it to appear below the field that it was referenced to. Here, I can just put the branching logic on it for other. And then I can embed it next to the other answer choice here. So we'll give it a few spaces, open our curly brackets, cookies underscore other. Close curly brackets and save. Now when we do data entry, we can see our cookies question, and if we click other, the field pops up directly next to it. You may have noticed when I was doing data entry in a record that the history and field comment buttons aren't visible when I'm doing embedding in the descriptive field next to any of these items, or for my embedded other field here. This history is going to refer solely to the multiple choice options. You can, however, include those icons next to the embedded field. Let's collect some information about snacking. So we've created the fields that we want to embed, and now we're going to create a place to embed them. We'll do another descriptive field, use the rich text editor, and create another table. But if I want the icons to display next to these, I'm going to have to add it in. I'll do that by adding a colon and then the word icons. This has to be inside of the curly brackets. So now when we look at our data entry form, we can see that not only do we have places to do data entry, but we also get the icons next to it. We can do lots of different kinds of formatting with field embedding. For example, we can have all these multiple choice questions appear next to each other. So what this would look like, you get a series of multiple choice questions all side by side, formatted how you want them. And you don't have to just embed multiple choice fields or text fields. You could also embed note fields. So if you have something longer you want people to write out, we have the option to do that as well. Also, with the rich text editor, I can do other formatting if I want to. To make things look exactly how I want them to look. So you can see where I'm entering my recipes. You also don't have to embed fields only in a descriptive field or next to a multiple choice option. Another place where you can embed fields is in the field notes. If I want to capture the units in the field notes section, I can do that. Now you notice I haven't actually created my units field yet. So if I try and look at this one for data entry purposes, I get the field I created, but at the bottom it's just going to say units. I have to go in and create my units field. Before the option actually shows up. And if I don't want them to be vertical like that, I can change my alignment to make them horizontal. And it looks a little bit more natural. These are just a few examples of how field embedding can work. The key things to remember are, when you're embedding a field, you must create the field before it can be embedded elsewhere. To embed it someplace, you're going to place the variable name inside of curly brackets and place it in the field label, field notes, section header, or choice label of another field. Field embedding can only be done on the same instrument that the field appears on. If you are using a survey that has multiple pages, it has to be on the same page of the survey that you want it to appear on. In order to get your embedded fields to look exactly the way you want them to, using the rich text editor is probably the way to go. And after you've created it and embedded it, test it. Any feature that allows for so much flexibility also requires a great deal of testing to make sure it's always going to look the way you want it to. The most common place you're going to embed a field is in the field label of a descriptive field. And very often you're going to be using a table setup to make sure that everything goes in the spaces that you want it to in that descriptive field. You can add the field icons, but you have to add :icons after the variable name inside of the curly brackets. When you embed a field, you're only embedding the input element. You're not pulling over the field label. This means that you need to make sure in your data entry instrument that it's still clear what you're expecting to go into that field. If an embedded field has branching logic on it, the branching logic will work exactly the way it would have if that field were separate and not embedded. If a host field contains branching logic that causes it to be hidden, then all the fields embedded in it will be hidden as well. Finally, as of July 2020, field embedding currently does not work in the REDCap mobile app, so if you're designing a project where you intend to use the mobile app, you should pass over this feature for now. But for data entry online and surveys, it will work wonderfully. This feature adds a large amount of flexibility to REDCap in how you're displaying input fields on a data entry form or in a survey. It requires a lot of experimentation, but the payoffs are worth it. Have fun, enjoy, and if you have any trouble getting it to work the way you want it to, make sure you contact your REDCap administrator for help. Thank you.